Okay. Well, Hannah just texted me and confirmed that we are in fact live, so we can jump in just a couple minutes after 11. So if any of you are watching yet, welcome to our first live broadcast of 2018. My name is Kat from Copycat Consulting, reporting to you from Salt Lake. I brought on one of my good friends and mentors, Blake Denman, to really go deeper with us on SEO. He's an expert in this field. He's been doing it for over a decade, right? 11 years.
Yes.
He's my go-to resource when it comes to any questions that I have about SEO. I know this is a really confusing topic for a lot of you guys, so I wanted to bring him on to really simplify and explain where things are headed in 2018 with SEO, why you should care if you're a small business, and what you can do to really increase your visibility, your online reputation, and ultimately more sales, which is why we're all participating in online marketing. So please give a warm welcome to Blake. Thanks for being here with us and taking some time out of your day. I know you're super busy.
No problem.
I want to just get this started by you first kind of letting us know who is RicketyRoo. So Blake's the CEO of RicketyRoo. Who is I can't speak, RicketyRoo. And like, just give us a little bit of background on you and your story.
So RicketyRoo was founded in February of 2009, so next month marks 9 years. We work with small to medium-sized businesses to help increase their online presence. Our why, if you want to know that, is we believe in helping others achieve their goals by providing clarity in a complex industry. We mainly focus on local search engine optimization, website design and development, and paid search marketing.
Okay, cool. Awesome. So all good stuff. So, okay, I know that I know what SEO is and you know what SEO is, but there's a lot of people that are in my sphere and like in my community that don't really know what SEO is because they're just getting started with online marketing. So can you just break it down in simple terms and explain to us what is SEO?
So SEO is an acronym. It means search engine optimization. The purpose of SEO, specifically, like what we focus on, is localized SEO. Is to have your website or your business rank for topically related keywords in both the map section on Google, as well as the traditional organic results below the map. That's what SEO is in a nutshell.
Okay. So when I Google marketing agencies in Salt Lake, if I want to pop up, that's what you help me do.
Correct.
You help me get to the higher up in the search rankings. Okay. So should I care? So I'm a small business. I'm a boutique marketing agency. A lot of the companies I work with are small businesses. Should we even care about SEO? And is there any like benefit to us really investing heavily in it when we're competing with a lot of bigger brands with bigger budgets?
So if most small businesses should care to some extent about SEO, specifically local SEO. So I actually have some interesting stats, which I can include the source link if we need that. So like 93% of searches with local intent, either including a city or not. A good example would be if you type in pizza near me, that there's local intent for that query. Same would apply to real estate agent, steakhouses, things of that nature. So 93% of those searches result in Google including a map result, including local businesses. 50% of consumers who conduct a local search on their smartphone visit a store within a day, and 34% who searched on a computer or tablet did the same thing. Then we also have 87% of smartphone owners use a search engine at least once a day. 78% of local mobile searches result in offline purchases. So they're doing the research online and then going to the store and purchasing in the actual store. 46% of all searches on Google are local. So Google has billions of searches every month, and almost half of them are local. And 76% of local searches result in a phone call, which would be a lead or a prospect.
Right.
And if you also think about it, when we talk with small businesses, most companies get a lot of their new clients from referrals, word of mouth. And referrals are still a massive form of getting new leads. And I don't know about you, but I know most people, when I get a referral to someone else, not just being in this field, most people tend to, what's the first thing they do? They're going to go look at your reputation online, and they're going to look at your website. They're going to so your website and your online presence is usually the first thing that most users will see before actually interacting with your small business or your brand.
Right. Okay, so what I'm hearing is that, so the way I kind of think about marketing is like there's all the, I mean, I hate to use the funnel because my God, how many times have we heard it? But the way I see it is like kind of like a funnel where it's like you have like social media and stuff like that where it's like people aren't really interested in you yet. They're just kind of getting to know you. They're just trying to like, they're like, oh, this person might be interesting. Maybe I'll follow them. But the cool thing about SEO and this search is that, and why we should care about it is that when people are actively searching for someone in your local area that does what you do, you want to show up because that person is a lot further down the funnel as far as like ready to take action. So it's
Sure.
almost like a completely different strategy than marketing to somebody who's, you know, kind of like maybe could be interested in a couple months or, you know, depending on what your business is and how your sales cycle works. But it's just very interesting to me that with SEO, it's like you're getting people when they're a lot further down, when they're ready to take action. So I think that that's really valuable to people.
It is, and most businesses that do invest in SEO, they obviously want to go after the bottom of the funnel keywords, which makes those keywords very competitive, especially in local markets where there's a lot of competition. To go along with, you know, the top of the funnel stages, you can actually create localized content that would actually feed into that funnel, and you can get that traffic from organic as well.
Right.
So it's kind of, you can do both, but you know, it is nice if you rank high for a bottom of the funnel keyword, have a good reputation online, and a good looking website that loads fast, and people interact with the brand and they convert.
Right. So let's talk about, this kind of leads into the next question that I had for you, which is what SEO trends should we be paying attention to in 2018? I know that things are constantly changing, which is why I love having you as a resource because you're always on top of this stuff. But like, where are things headed? What should we care about in 2018 with regards to our SEO strategy?
There's a couple that I kind of jotted down. The first would be mobile first indexing. So traditional results, both on mobile and desktop, are from traditional Googlebot. And Google wants to show the most relevant information possible. More people are searching from smartphones, so their results are going to reflect a mobile first interface. And Google's going to create and rank its search engine based on the mobile version of content on the mobile website of that particular brand. They've been testing the mobile first index since the latter half of last year, and we'll be rolling out more and more this year. Like, what does that mean for a small business? You know, if your mobile site has less content on the mobile version versus desktop, it potentially could affect you. It's not a guarantee, but it potentially could. Google has said that it shouldn't affect rankings much, but you know, we'll see. The importance, to reiterate, you know, take out your smartphone and view your website on mobile devices, not just one you have. Look at different mobile devices. Is your website mobile friendly? If not, you really need to get on the ball and get a mobile version of your website built or have the website redesigned to be completely responsive. Responsive design is recommended by Google. And the second thing I would really focus on if I was a small business is my online reputation or getting reviews. We're seeing reviews of businesses have direct influence on rankings, not just like reviews on a Google My Business listing. This can include from other third parties, which would be Yelp, Facebook, HomeAdvisor, and other industry top tier related websites.
Okay.
Not just how many reviews, not the quantity, but the overall sentiment of those reviews and the content inside of those reviews, because you can't really influence what someone says about your brand or your business. You know, if a business has an overall negative sentiment about it, Google's going to likely suppress the ranking of that business. It doesn't matter how good of an SEO job they're doing. So if you are providing a poor user experience and everyone is just berating you on Yelp, Google, and Facebook, or maybe another third party, Google will take all that into consideration, and your rankings will likely start to dip.
Okay. Man, that's scary though. A lot of businesses are afraid of like Yelp, and I mean, they want online reviews, but they want to be able to control it And I know that's like a focus for a lot of my clients, and it's always something that we struggle with, is getting out of our comfort zone and trusting that we're offering great service and that we're doing our job and we're doing our due diligence and serving the customer at the highest level possible. And then, just kind of like not worrying about or freaking out and trying to control the reviews. But it's definitely something that I know a lot of people are kind of uncomfortable with. And so it's just, I've had, some success with helping my clients get online reviews through like putting together marketing campaigns geared specifically towards online reviews. So following up with clients at the right time in order to get that review. But do you have any pointers on how, I don't know if that's something with clients, but do you have any pointers on how to get reviews successfully?
So there are third-party systems that you can incorporate. One that is highly recommended and we have used in the past for customers is get5stars.com. And the process is simple. Once you lay out the information and the content of those emails, all you have to do is you have someone upload the person's name and an email address, and the tool does the rest. And the process is pretty nifty. Other ways, if you're not looking to spend money on that, would be kind of getting your entire team on board with getting reviews. Not saying like, hey, you can't incentivize people to write a review. That's against the terms of service of every website that accepts reviews. Like you can't say, hey, if you write a good review for me on Yelp or Google or Facebook, we'll give you a coupon. Yeah, because then it's like, heck yeah, I'm incentivized to go write that review. That's not natural. So if you provide kind of baking all of that into the DNA of the brand is going to help, making sure that everyone is providing a positive experience. And you can also use, email is a great way. We have been starting to test more text message based, which you can actually send short links. So instead of sending your URL to your Google listing or Facebook, you can just use a bit.ly link, or there's a couple others that we use, and just text it to a previous customer and say, hey, we really care about our the service we provide, and if you wouldn't mind leaving your feedback about our services, we really appreciate it, and include a link. And then it's up to the user to take action, because it's really hard when you provide a great experience, and if it's a restaurant, fantastic service, great food, you're really happy, and you're leaving, and they, someone's kind of mentioned, hey, if you enjoyed your experience here, why don't you leave some feedback for us online? And everyone's like, oh yeah, we'll do that. And then they walk out, and 10 seconds later they forget.
Yeah, our
myself.
span is like 8 seconds. So it's like, if it's not, it's almost like if it's not done like right at that moment, then it's not going to happen. And I've struggled with this too in my business. Like I've told my clients, like, hey, go on and leave me a review, and they're like, yeah, girl, I got you. I love you. And I'm like, it's been 3 weeks. Like there's still no review. Like what's going on, guys? So, I mean, whatever, like I don't blame them. It's like everyone's busy. Our attention span is like all over the place. So I think the texting thing is really cool. I think it's also interesting what you mentioned about like the overall sentiment of the reviews. So just so everyone knows, like it's not enough anymore really to just get like a 5-star and then no commentary. Like you're really looking for reviews that obviously are 5 stars, but then specifically detail how you serve that person, how they had a great experience with you. Is that correct? Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're really looking for these reviews with like actual content included.
Meat.
Yeah.
Some research, and I might be a little bit off, but something like 88% of people surveyed said that they trust an online review just about as high as if it was a referral from one of their friends or family members. Right. So it's great to get great reviews. You just have no control over what someone's going to say.
Crazy to me, because I'm guilty. Like I trust reviews. I review everything. Like I do not go to a restaurant without Yelping first, and I do not buy anything really without reviewing it. But it's just crazy to me that like I trust and I put so much weight on these reviews of people that I don't even know. It's kind of
right.
Like, but
yeah, and unfortunately, you might run into a situation where you provide a great experience, a great service, or you sold a great product, and that person was just having a bad day, and maybe something went wrong, and you were the straw that broke the camel's back, and they go online and they just unleash on your brand. And it's important for business owners to proactively respond to those negative reviews, versus just letting them sit or saying that's incorrect. Have some compassion. Don't get too defensive, because the general public will be reading your responses as well. It's okay to defend yourself or your business. Just do it in a professional manner.
Right. Which I think we've all seen, like those BuzzFeed articles, or random things in our newsfeed on Facebook about like this one restaurant responded on Yelp and it went viral because it was like ridiculous. They got into like, a pissing match with their customer on Yelp. Like, So yeah, definitely don't do that. But I like that you do agree, because I agree also that it is okay to kind of defend yourself, and you definitely want to be proactive and respond so that people see that you care, first of all, and that you're invested in online marketing, because a lot of online marketing is about engagement. So if you're not engaging with people, whether it's you or comment or whatever, people will tend to just kind of be like, they're not really into the marketing online, or they're not that serious about their business. So it is important. So
one time we actually have a client who they get roughly a third of their new business from Yelp specifically, and they've focused on having a great reputation on Yelp for a long time. And anytime they get a review that's 3 stars or below, they make it a mission to figure out what the reasoning is. And I would say 70 to 80% of the time, they're able to work out something with that customer. And without even asking, that Yelper will actually update the review to reflect that the business actually cared, listened, and came through for them.
Right. So I think it's just, and that's awesome. Like, I love hearing stories like that. I think it's just really about serving your customers on such a high level, and like really having good intentions when it comes to, because some people get really like defensive and like, oh, that person doesn't, they get really like bitter about it. But I think if you really care about customer service and you really care about your customers, people are gonna see that. And like you said, a lot of times they'll change their review, and that sentiment will come through in your reviews. So that's awesome.
Sure.
I do want to talk next about where small business, like in your opinion, from what you've seen, where are small businesses failing most often when it comes to
SEO? There's so many. The first thing I'll look at is looking at the actual website. Is it responsive or is it mobile friendly? If not, that should be number one, especially since if any small business looks into their analytics, most small businesses are likely getting more than 50 to 60% of their organic traffic or referral traffic from mobile. And if you don't have a mobile version or a responsive website, that's a poor user experience. And that's the first thing that I would definitely focus on.
Okay, and so just to clarify for everyone, mobile and responsive, can you just real quickly tell people what that means, just in case they don't know?
So responsive design. Sorry, I'm getting a feedback loop from Sam. Responsive design doesn't matter what the browser size is. If it gets bigger and smaller, the website's going to respond automatically. Versus on traditional mobile devices, if the referrer is coming from a mobile device, usually an M.dot version of that website will trigger and will show a mobile version of the website, which is only used on smartphones.
Right. And you're saying we should have the same amount of content on our mobile version of the site as on the original version to avoid that kind of dinging us by Google, or Google dinging.
Not necessarily. If you have some content that isn't really going to be useful to a user, then you may not need to include it on your mobile version of your website.
Okay.
So the answer is usually it depends.
It depends. Okay. Okay, so that's good to know. And just so most of you know, so if you want to check if your site is mobile and responsive, obviously, you can look at it on a tablet, you can look at it on your cell phone, you can look at it on all these different devices, and just make sure that everything's formatted correctly, all the information is being delivered. Nothing's I know I've seen sites that are not super mobile friendly, and it's like you'll look at them and text will be overlapping and it'll just be kind of messy. So obviously you want to avoid any of that. My site is a Squarespace site, which I know everybody has like mixed feelings about that. But if you do go with like a Squarespace platform, it's going to automatically be mobile responsive or mobile friendly and responsive. But like if you have like a WordPress site or something like that, you need to kind of like, that's something that you need to make sure has been developed, right?
Correct. If the website hasn't been redone in the last 4 or 5 years, then you want to take a look at that. And Google has a free tool that you can actually look at that as well. And if you just do a search for Google Page Speed Insights, it will show you if your website is mobile friendly or not. It will also give you recommendations to improve page speed.
Right, I've done that with my site. I'll link to that in the description or in the comments below this video so you guys can check if your site is mobile friendly and responsive. So anything we're talking about on this broadcast, I'll link below so you guys can reference that, as well as a link to Blake's website so that if you guys want to follow up with him after this, you can. Okay, so just first and foremost, a lot of people just still don't have the basics down. They don't have a site that's responsive, that looks great on mobile. So that's where you would encourage people, or that's where you kind of see people failing most often.
Yes and no. A lot of small businesses don't even have an actual website. Sometimes they will use their Facebook business page as their website, and they're essentially building their entire content and everything on Facebook. So having a actual website that reflects your brand is a good thing to have.
Right. Well, and this is key too, because I get really frustrated when I see people that rely on all these other platforms to kind of be like the house of their online business or whatever, like their online hub. And it's like, it's kind of scary to me because Facebook changes all the time. Like, I'm not suggesting that they're just gonna like take your page away, but you don't own that. So I like the idea of just like having my own set thing that I own, and I'm not relying on a third party and their rules to dictate how I interact with my customers, whether or not I can actually get their information or not. Like, you give up a lot of control over that when you kind of place all of your eggs in like the Facebook basket or something like that.
Sure, you're on Instagram.
Right. And I follow a lot of like online marketing influencers, things like that. And one of the girls that I follow, I think her name's Alex Beeden. So she has like a huge YouTube channel, and that's like her big like hub. Like that's where she has gotten like the most growth online and where she gets a lot of clients from. And YouTube just like turned off her channel. She doesn't know why. They just took it down. She had like 1 million followers gone in one day. And she was just, like freaking out. Like she's trying to get it back. But like that's scary to me that can actually happen. And then you're kind of screwed. Like if that's your moneymaker and everything is relying on that one channel that you have no control over, that's really scary to me. So
what's that other guy's name? Logan something? I don't really know much about. He's been very popular in the socials for the past couple weeks about some inappropriate content he filmed in Japan. And
yes, I saw that. Okay, yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, and he actually got removed from YouTube's preferred ad program last night. So he was making all this money on YouTube, and he just got removed, demoted essentially. So it's like if you want to play the game and play by the rules, you're more than welcome to. But it's when you don't own the content, you don't own the messaging, it can get kind of scary.
Yeah, so that's why, I mean, a lot of people are like, oh, do I really even need to worry about email and building my database anymore? Because it's kind of like old school. Like, yeah, maybe, I guess kind of is old school, but I still feel like email is really important. Those are your contacts. You control that. You own that, and you can market to it however you want. You don't have to play by anyone else's rules. So I'm still a big believer in using social media to reach people, to connect, but to bring people off of social into your database where you can really control and nurture the relationship however you want. I just think that that's a smart strategy for anyone that's doing online marketing. We should really be focused on how do I take this online community and bring it over to email, to a place where I can kind of facilitate and control that communication. So if you guys are not doing that, I definitely recommend it. And yes, everyone should have a website. So that kind of brings us to like, how can we improve? So what are some action steps you would give people who are just getting started with SEO?
Well, I do have more actions if we want to get into those. Next, so besides having a mobile-friendly website, would be developing a review strategy if you don't have one.
Okay.
That's going to be more and more important. If you want to rank in a map area on Google search, first you need to have what we call clean and consistent NAP data. And NAP is an acronym for business name, address, phone number, website, and category. And making sure that your data is consistent on roughly the top 5 data aggregators. And there's roughly 40 to 50 other local listing sources, which would include Yelp, superpages.com, things of that nature. And making sure that that data is consistent. And that's foundational to being able to be found there. It's not going to get you into the top 3, but it's table stakes.
Sorry guys, I don't know what just happened, but I totally like my computer just started freaking out on me, and like Blair Witch Project stuff was happening. So sorry that I dropped off for a second. I think Blake was still going, right? You were still going while I was off.
Yeah, well, I took a few seconds to kind of figure like, well, it's still showing that I'm live, so I might as well finish what I was talking about.
You don't need me. You're that you don't stop me. So just so you guys all know, we're testing a new platform called Be Live. That's how we're doing this like split screen interview style. So this is like something that integrates with Facebook, and you can have this like cool feature where you can interview guests. But as always, anytime you're using something that's not like native to a platform, like just like the Facebook Live platform, sometimes you run into like these weird glitches and stuff. So I think that's what was happening. I think something maybe with my internet got weird. So sorry, I missed some of what you were talking about, but I'm sure that it was fantastic. Were you able to wrap up where you're at, or do you want to keep going?
Yeah, I was able to wrap up where small businesses should focus on improving their SEO. The one thing I really kind of talk about was not just having a mobile-friendly website, but having making sure the technical on-site SEO is actually taken care of too. There are some basics, which is having unique title tags and meta descriptions across every page of your entire website. But improving page speed, making it as fast as possible is another. And then you can go into, I wouldn't want to get into more of the technical details because it's kind of hard to talk about without looking at an actual live website.
Okay, so if I want to like improve my page speed and like really work on my website and making sure it's mobile friendly, like, so is that something that I just need to like contact a web designer to help me with so that they can optimize the the photos and things like that to help with load time, or is that something I can?
It can. So there's the Google Page Speed Insights, which is great, gives you some high action items that you should work on to speed up your website. There's also a website called gtmetrics.com, and you can plug in your website and it will give you a lot more data and a lot of other, not just Google Page Speed Insights, but there's a couple others like YSlow, Waterfall, and a couple others that go a little bit more deeper. And you can work with a developer to facilitate that to improve the speed of your website.
Okay, cool. So we did have a question here from Sherry Patterson, one of my clients. Hey, girl. So she wanted to know, is there any reason why? I don't know what you're referencing, Sherry. So if you're still on the broadcast, can you just type in the comments what exactly you were asking so that we can try to answer that? If not, then I'll follow up with you offline. But yeah, I'm not. Do you know what she's talking about, Blake?
No, I remember seeing it kind of pop up in the window, but
I'm not exactly sure where we were at because that was right before I like went dark. Anyways, okay, cool. So all that is really great information. We'll see if Sherry gets back to us. I just kind of wanted to wrap this up by asking you, when should I hire an SEO professional? Like, when should I? Oh, she put. Okay, hold on. Sorry, I'm gonna pause my train of thought. Why YouTube took the channels down? Oh, okay. So she was asking why, when I was sharing why or how Alex Speedon's channel got removed. She doesn't know. She reached out to them. She couldn't figure out why. She didn't feel like she was violating any of the rules, and it was something she had built up over the course of like 4 years. So because she sent an email out to her entire database about it, which is how I found out. So the last time I had heard from her, she was just like basically like depressed in her room, like, oh my gosh, my YouTube channel is gone and I have no idea why. But she doesn't know. So I'll follow up with her and see if I can find out why, like if YouTube got back to her on what she needed to do to get it back. But yeah, scary. So anyways, back to my original train of thought. When should I hire a pro? Like, and what should I expect? Because I think a lot of people maybe would consider investing in SEO, but they don't really know like what they're hiring someone to do, what they should expect, the type of results they should kind of expect to get. I know that it varies by client, but just kind of give us a rundown of.
So the first thing to watch out for is if you're talking to a salesperson and they're saying, oh yeah, we'll get you page 1 rankings within 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. Google has in their webmaster guidelines, they have specific, even have a YouTube video about it saying that if you're investing in SEO, typically you won't start to see results within the first 6 to 12 months. It's a process, it's an investment into the business. That being said, we usually start to see the needle move in the right direction within the first couple of months, and then it just kind of cascades and gets better from there. So it's a slow and building process. It's not going to happen overnight. If a business is looking to if they're hurting really bad and they need leads and customers now, a better option for them would be to utilize Google AdWords. Because once you have those keywords, you have the ad copy, everything set up, you have your tracking set up, you can be live within a couple of days and at the top of page 1 for keywords that you are at bottom of the funnel, middle of the funnel, wherever you want to be.
Okay. So people always ask me, and I know you're probably me that I'm asking you this question, but I'm going to do it anyways. People are always asking me, like, how much money should I spend on AdWords? Like, and it's kind of the same when they ask me this question a lot about Facebook ads, and I know what my answer is to them, but I'd be curious to hear what your answer is to people when they ask, like, how much should I spend a month? Let's say.
Way I would communicate to clients is what's the maximum money you're willing to spend if you got nothing in return? And because if they say, hey, we want to spend $10,000 a month, but if they get nothing from that $10,000 and they go out of business, that's too much of an investment. It's likely that they would get clients from spending that kind of money if everything's set up properly and the messaging is clear. But that's how we kind of approach it. You can kind of look at it and kind of get some figures, but until you're actually bidding and monitoring keywords and seeing how they actually are performing for your website, then you can get budget recommendations directly from AdWords saying, hey, we recommend a budget of, if your budget was $25 a day, then we would recommend a budget of $50 a day because you're missing out on roughly half of the searches. And in a scenario like that, if you have a budget of $25 per day, but the total available inventory is $50 a day, Google will automatically show your one ad every 2 searches. That way you show it more consistently throughout the day versus exhausting your entire budget in the first half of the day.
Okay. So it kind of depends. Is there any like minimum that you kind of impose or like that you say like, we're not going to work with you unless you have like a minimum budget of amount, because in our opinion, we don't really see results unless you're spending a minimum of this?
Again, it depends. I hate saying that, but it really is the case. We usually like to recommend a minimum spending budget of $1,000 a month to start with and go from there. But we do have some clients who spend $400, $500 a month, but we have a minimum monthly service fee, which we are upfront with them about saying, hey, we're charging you this much. When in the case of $500 a month, the monthly fee would be like half of that. So it kind of
point that thing like
right. So instead of $500 a month, their total investment would be $750 a month. And if you're utilizing a third party to manage your AdWords, the way that we've structured it is their account is tied to their credit card on how they want to pay. It's all post-pay. You can do prepay, but that doesn't make any sense. And your AdWords will automatically charge you when your account hits a certain threshold, or within 30 days, whatever that is. And we just charge our flat rate service fee every month. That way, the client knows exactly what they're paying for and what they're actually paying us. If you're working with a vendor and they're charging you $1,000 a month and they pay for the clicks, and they're not sending you reporting directly from AdWords, likely they're taking at least half the money, in my experience.
Okay, so make sure that when you're interviewing somebody that they're like very clearly outlining what their services are, what what their monthly fee is, and that you still have control over and access to like your AdWords account, that your credit card's attached to it, and that you're getting reports directly from AdWords. You're not getting like misinformation or like falsified numbers or that are
right.
like
They're not baking in what they're charging you into the cost per click or the total spend.
Okay. And I'm
so
always,
all of our clients have access to their AdWords account too.
Yeah. Okay. Right. And I mean, I think in general, like it's always just a smart idea to interview, the person that you're thinking of hiring, and then like asking for some references, things like that, so that you can speak with some of their clients, or like if they have a case study handbook where they can show you like, oh, here's what we've done for some of our clients. Obviously, a good idea to do your due diligence.
That's good information. I would even ask a potential vendor. I would ask them, "Have you worked in my industry before?" It's not necessarily a deal breaker, but if a potential vendor has worked in your industry before, chances are, and they're still in it, and they've got good referrals that you can contact and get the same feedback on, then that's kind of a great barrier to entry versus hiring someone who's never worked in a certain vertical that they know nothing about.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, so I have one last question from you that came from, this was actually one of my, a potential client was asking me about this week, and so I just thought I'd throw it out there so I can get back to him. So he is a photographer in San Diego, and he was really wanting to increase just like his online presence in general, like do more with Instagram, kind of tell more of a story through his website. But he was telling me that he was just recently getting into SEO. He created a Google My Business account, was working on getting reviews, but he wasn't sure with his keywords, like on his website, things like that. Like, should he be, he's a San Diego photographer, but he wasn't sure if he should be focusing on San Diego or on more like specific cities and like zip codes and things like that. Like, how broad or how specific should he go with like the location?
It depends. In this case, I have a client who does wedding photography, and he actually shot our wedding, and we worked with him, and he's ranking high locally for competitive keywords. He's also ranking in other locations. And the strategy with him was we wanted to build him, because he had moved from San Luis Obispo to Bend a couple of years ago, and he wanted to establish his home base here. And the strategy was to focus specifically on where he's going to get the biggest reach, which would be Bend, Central Oregon. And then as he keeps adding more and more work to his portfolio, you start creating different topics or different subsets of your work, and you can showcase that work. Essentially, portfolio that has unique specific pages talking about maybe a specific shoot in La Jolla or Carlsbad.
Okay.
You can add those, have your content, have your images on those. So you're kind of building more of a silo of unique content specific to where you've shot at previously, versus plugging every single city inside of San Diego County on your homepage or on your services page, which is not really going to help.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is that it might be a good idea for him to like go a little bit more broad on his homepage, like San Diego wedding photographer, whatever. And then on like his blog pages, like if he does a wedding in La Jolla with like, and he wants to do like a page with like a gallery of images and kind of talk about the wedding shoot, that's where he can like talk about La Jolla and like that kind of stuff, and kind of builds up. So you're kind of building both at the same time type of thing? Without, like,
sure, he can do that. But if he has a physical location inside of San Diego, that would be the primary focus. And then when he's expanding to like La Jolla or Carlsbad as the examples, writing that content, including the portfolio, but also not just trying to go after like for Carlsbad or La Jolla. You start thinking about what are the other topically related searches that are related to wedding photography in La Jolla. And people do a lot of searches for specific venues. And if it was at a specific venue that's pretty popular, chances are they have a resource list, and they might have links out to local photographers, and he would want to reach out to them to see if he could get on there, which is going to help with referral traffic to get new customers that are wanting to get married at that specific venue in La Jolla, as well as helping his SEO because he's getting a link from a locally and topically related website local to him. That's kind of the approach.
Okay. Yeah, and I think it's interesting. He was telling me that he is kind of like the anti-San Diego photographer. And so what he means by that is that he's not really super into like beach weddings with like lots of pastel colors and things like that. Like his focus is more on like these really moody, kind of earthy photos that happen in more kind of rural settings. So it's almost like offering this kind of like forest, mountain, outdoorsy, adventurous kind of experience to people that live in San Diego, where most people are like, oh, I want to go to the beach. So I think it'd be interesting for him to try playing with some keywords like forest weddings or mountain weddings, or because people do search those. Like I know, like when I have friends that were like thinking about getting married, they're not just searching like wedding photographer or something like that. They're looking for like cabins you can get married at in San Diego, or like outdoorsy weddings, like things like that. He could potentially, I guess.
So something he could do if you're able to show that people actually search for cabins to be married at in San Diego, there's likely other related keywords to that specific query. And if you do search for it, what are the results? And there might be specific locations that are listing, and why couldn't he create one great piece of content that highlights all of those with links to their websites and become a local resource for his target customer?
Right. Cool. Love it. Like that idea. So I hope he's watching. I'm going to send him a link to this so that he can, I don't know if he's working right now, but so he can watch this later. But anyways, okay, so let's wrap this up. We've been talking to you guys for almost an hour now. So I just want to like finish this off by first saying thank you, Blake, for your time and your expertise. And if you want to just give us one quick run through of takeaways, action steps, things you can do when you jump off this broadcast to really start working and improving your SEO. Go.
Is your website mobile friendly? Not just is it mobile friendly, is it fast? What is your review building strategy or your online reputation strategy? What does your current online reputation look like? What does that landscape look like? If it's neutral or semi-positive, you may want to start more quickly getting a more positive sentiment about your specific business. If you don't have a Google listing and you're a local business, whether you're a service area, like if you do home services like a plumber or locksmith, you can still get a local listing. PO boxes, virtual offices don't count, but you can hide your address on Google because you don't actually accept people at that location. You go to them. In the case of something you kind of jotted down in our notes was specific recommendations for real estate pros, real estate agents. And with Google listings, most of the time, all realtors work under a specific broker, and real estate agents can actually qualify to have their own dedicated Google listing, and it's totally within the rules, to where they would just have their name, then you would just add a separator, like a dash, and then you would put the name of the broker that they work with. And same address as the broker, but it's unique to them to where they can build their personal portfolio of online reviews.
Okay. Does that help the brokerage too, because it's like kind of affiliated, or does that hurt them?
It's not really going to hurt them because it is technically, in the eyes of Google, it is a separate entity. But if it's a solo broker with one agent, then they won't qualify for it's called a practitioner listing. So if it's them by themselves, then they would just have the one listing. But if there's 10 agents at one broker, each agent actually qualifies for their own Google listing.
Okay. Does that help the brokerage because they have the same address out there and like a bunch of, I don't know, does that make an impact, or does it just kind of doesn't really?
Not necessarily. If anything, it's really going to help that real estate agent kind of build up their own name as a real estate pro. versus building great reviews about their service to the broker.
Right. Which again, then they have no control over that. And if they ever want to leave that brokerage or go, somewhere else, it's like they have nothing.
Exactly.
Okay. Okay, cool. So that was all very helpful. I hope you guys enjoyed this live broadcast. I'm going to try to bring more guests on at least once a month, just to kind of add some additional insight. Obviously, I'm not an expert on every single topic that relates to online marketing, so it's really great to bring people like Blake on so that you can meet people in my sphere, people that I trust my business to, and hopefully we can all learn and grow and get better in 2018 together. So thanks so much, Blake. I appreciate you. I will talk to you soon offline, and everyone who is watching, I will link everything that we talked about into the comment section so that you can have those links and follow up. Thanks again for joining us, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day and weekend, since it's almost Friday.
All right. Thank you.
Guys. Bye.
Bye.